Imagine waking up every day knowing you are enough, no need to prove anything, no more chasing approval, no more doubting your worth. What if I told you that the power to change your life, to unlock your true potential, lies in the simple truth that you are already everything you need to be? There's a common misconception that being alone equates to being lonely. Society often paints solitude as something to be avoided, a state that signifies failure, rejection, or lack of companionship. But the truth is, solitude is one of the greatest gifts life can offer. It is not a punishment, but an opportunity, a powerful moment for self-discovery, reflection, and growth. When you're alone, the distractions of the outside world fade away. The noise, the opinions, the constant barrage of information, they all quiet down. In that stillness, something remarkable happens. You start to hear yourself. Not the version of you shaped by other people's expectations, but the authentic voice within that often gets drowned out by the chaos of everyday life. This is the voice that knows what you truly want, what you truly need, and what truly matters. It's in solitude that this voice grows louder, clearer, and more undeniable. Too many people avoid solitude because they're afraid of what they'll find. They fear the silence because it forces them to confront the things they've been running from, their insecurities, their regrets, their unmet potential. But the beauty of solitude is that it creates the space to face those fears head on. It strips away the excuses, the distractions, and the justifications, leaving you with only the truth. And while the truth can be uncomfortable, it's also the starting point for transformation. You can't fix what you refuse to see, and solitude gives you the clarity to see it all. Think about the lives of people who have achieved greatness. Almost all of them have had moments of solitude where they stepped away from the noise to focus on their craft, their vision, or their purpose. Whether it's an artist locked away in a studio, a thinker immersed in their ideas, or a leader charting a new path, solitude has always been the fertile ground where brilliance is cultivated. It's not the crowd that creates, it's the individual, in their quiet moments, who dares to dream and work toward something extraordinary. Solitude also provides you with the chance to reconnect with yourself. In a world that constantly pulls you in 1,000 directions, it's easy to lose sight of who you are. You start to define yourself by your relationships, your job, your achievements, or the roles you play in other people's lives. But when you're alone, all of that fades away. You're no longer someone's partner, parent, friend, or colleague, you're just you. And in that simplicity, you can rediscover the essence of who you are, separate from everything and everyone else. There's a certain power in knowing yourself deeply. When you understand your values, your strengths, your weaknesses, and your desires, you become unshakable. The opinions of others lose their grip on you because you've already validated yourself. The need for external approval diminishes because you've found fulfillment within. Solitude gives you this power, the power to stand tall in your truth, unapologetically and unwaveringly. And then there's the creative energy that solitude unlocks. When you're alone, your mind has the freedom to wander, to explore, and to imagine without limits. You're not trying to impress anyone, meet anyone's expectations, or fit into anyone's mold. You're free to think, to dream, and to create purely for yourself. Some of the most profound ideas, inventions, and works of art have come from people who embrace solitude and let their minds roam in the stillness. But solitude isn't just about introspection and creativity, it's also about strength. When you spend time alone, you learn to rely on yourself. You realize that you don't need someone else to solve your problems, to validate your feelings, or to guide your decisions. You become resourceful, resilient, and self-sufficient. This doesn't mean you stop valuing relationships. But it does mean you stop depending on them for your sense of self-worth or happiness. You find those things within yourself, and that's a kind of freedom most people never experience. Of course, solitude isn't always comfortable. It can be challenging, especially if you're used to being surrounded by people or immersed in constant activity. The silence can feel deafening at first, and the stillness can feel unfamiliar. But the discomfort is temporary. Over time, as you grow more comfortable with solitude, you begin to see its beauty. You realize that being alone doesn't mean you're lacking anything, it means you have the opportunity to gain everything. The world often glorifies the hustle, the grind, and the busyness. It tells you that productivity, social connections, and external accomplishments are the measures of a meaningful life. But solitude reminds you that sometimes the most important work isn't what you do out there, it's what you do in here within yourself. It's the internal work of knowing yourself, healing yourself, and building yourself into the person you're meant to be. When you embrace solitude, you stop running from yourself. You stop fearing the quiet moments and start welcoming them as opportunities to grow. You begin to see solitude not as an absence, but as an abundance of space filled with possibility, potential, and power. And in that space, you discover that you are enough. You always have been, and you always will be. Solitude simply gives you the chance to remember that truth. Transformation is a process that often requires silence, stillness, and time away from the distractions of the world. Solitude is where that transformation begins. It is the cocoon where growth occurs, where change takes root, and where you confront what's holding you back so you can step into the person you were meant to be. Growth doesn't happen in the noise of the crowd or the comfort of the familiar. It happens in the quiet, in the moments when you're alone with your thoughts, your fears, and your dreams. When you strip away the opinions of others, the expectations of society, and the constant busyness of life, what you're left with is the raw, unfiltered truth of yourself. Solitude has a way of exposing that truth in a way that nothing else can. It forces you to confront the parts of yourself that you might have been avoiding, the doubts, the insecurities, the pain, and even the potential that you haven't dared to fully embrace. It's uncomfortable at first, because facing the truth often is, but it's also liberating. You can't transform into something greater without first being honest about where you are. Think about the caterpillar. Before it becomes a butterfly, it enters a cocoon. In that cocoon, it's alone, enclosed in darkness, undergoing a process of transformation that no one else can see. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening, but on the inside, every cell is changing. The caterpillar is literally breaking down and rebuilding itself into something new. That's what solitude does for us. It creates the space for internal transformation, even when the outside world can't see it yet. It's not an easy process. It requires patience, resilience, and a willingness to embrace the discomfort of change. But when the transformation is complete, the results are undeniable. You gain the clarity to see what needs to change. When you're constantly surrounded by people or consumed by activity, it's easy to ignore the areas of your life that aren't working. You get caught up in routines, distractions, and obligations, and before you know it, years can pass without any real growth. But when you're alone, those distractions fall away, and you're left with the truth. Maybe it's the realization that you've been settling for less than you deserve. Maybe it's a dream you've been putting off, a bad habit you need to break, or a part of yourself you need to heal. Solitude gives you the time and space to reflect on these things and start making the changes you need to make. It's not just about seeing what needs to change, it's about finding the strength to make those changes. Solitude builds resilience because it teaches you to rely on yourself. When you're alone, there's no one else to lean on, and that's where you discover just how strong you really are. You learn to solve your own problems, to motivate yourself, and to push through challenges without needing anyone else to hold your hand. That kind of strength doesn't just appear overnight. It's forged in those quiet moments when you have no choice but to keep going, even when it's hard. And once you've developed that strength, it stays with you. It becomes a part of who you are, and it fuels your transformation. Transformation also requires vision, and solitude is where that vision comes into focus. When you're constantly surrounded by noise, it's hard to think clearly. Your thoughts get drowned out by the opinions of others, the demands of daily life, and the endless stream of information we're bombarded with every day. But in solitude, your mind has the space to breathe. You can dream without limits, imagine new possibilities, and start to see a path forward. That vision is the blueprint for your transformation. It gives you a sense of direction, a goal to work toward, and a reason to keep pushing through the hard times. The process of transformation in solitude is also deeply personal. No one else can do it for you. People can guide you, inspire you, or support you, but at the end of the day, the work is yours to do. And that's a good thing because it means the transformation is truly yours. It's not about meeting someone else's expectations or fitting into someone else's idea of success. It's about becoming the person you want to be, the person you were meant to be. That kind of transformation is only possible when you take the time to look inward, to ask yourself the tough questions, and to do the hard work of change. It's important to understand that transformation doesn't happen all at once. It's a process, and solitude gives you the time you need to move through that process at your own pace. Some days it might feel like you're making progress, and other days it might feel like you're standing still. But even in the stillness, there's growth happening beneath the surface. Transformation isn't always visible in the moment, but when you look back, you'll see just how far you've come. Solitude isn't just a place where transformation happens, it's a catalyst for it. It creates the conditions for change by removing the distractions, giving you the space to reflect, and pushing you to rely on yourself. It's in those quiet moments when you're alone with your thoughts that you start to see who you are and who you can become. And when you emerge from that solitude, you're not the same person you were when you entered. You're stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your purpose. That's the power of solitude. It transforms you from the inside out. There is a unique power that emerges when you learn to rely on yourself. It's not about shutting the world out or isolating yourself from others, but about cultivating an inner strength that allows you to stand firm, regardless of what life throws your way. Self-reliance is one of the most profound tools for growth because it forces you to step into your own abilities, make decisions with confidence, and trust in your capacity to navigate the challenges of life. It's a process that requires courage and discipline, but the rewards are immense. When you're self-reliant, you learn that you are enough. You discover that you don't need constant validation or approval from others to move forward. In a world where so many people are seeking external reinforcement to feel worthy or capable, being self-reliant sets you apart. It gives you the freedom to act without worrying about what others might think or say. That freedom is empowering. It allows you to take risks, pursue your goals, and live life on your own terms. You're no longer dependent on others to make you feel secure or confident because you've built that foundation within yourself. Challenges and difficulties often reveal how much you've cultivated self-reliance. When things get tough, some people crumble under the pressure, waiting for someone to come and rescue them. But those who are self-reliant know how to dig deep and find their own solutions. They've developed the resilience to face adversity head-on, knowing that they have what it takes to overcome it. This kind of strength isn't something you're born with, it's something you build over time. It's built every time you choose to solve a problem on your own, every time you take responsibility for your actions, and every time you refuse to give up when things get hard. Being self-reliant also teaches you the value of accountability. When you rely on yourself, you take ownership of your choices and their outcomes. You understand that your life is your responsibility, and that realization is both sobering and empowering. It means you can no longer blame others for your failures or depend on them for your success. It forces you to be honest with yourself about your strengths and weaknesses, and it pushes you to grow. Accountability is a cornerstone of self-reliance because it keeps you grounded in the reality that you are in control of your destiny. Self-reliance builds mental and emotional strength. Life is unpredictable, and there will be times when you feel like the ground is shifting beneath your feet. In those moments, it's easy to panic or feel overwhelmed, especially if you've always relied on others to steady you. But when you're self-reliant, you develop the inner stability to weather those storms. You know how to calm your mind, regulate your emotions, and find solutions without falling apart. This kind of strength doesn't mean you won't ever feel fear or doubt. It means you won't let those feelings control you. You've trained yourself to act with clarity and purpose, even when the path ahead isn't clear. When you rely on yourself, you also gain a deeper sense of self-awareness. You start to understand your own needs, desires, and limitations in a way that's only possible when you've spent time depending on your own judgment. This self-awareness becomes a guide helping you make better decisions and avoid situations that don't align with your values or goals. It's the kind of wisdom that comes from experience gained by stepping out on your own and learning through trial and error. Every mistake becomes a lesson, and every success reinforces your belief in your own abilities. One of the most powerful aspects of self-reliance is that it teaches you how to find strength in solitude. Many people fear being alone because they associate it with loneliness or vulnerability. But self-reliant individuals understand that solitude is an opportunity to recharge, reflect, and grow. It's in those quiet moments that you reconnect with your inner self and gain clarity about your path. Solitude becomes a source of strength rather than something to fear because you've learned how to stand on your own without needing constant support from others. Self-reliance doesn't mean you don't value relationships or the help of others. It simply means that you're not dependent on them. You're able to appreciate support and guidance without needing it to function or thrive. This independence actually strengthens your relationships because you're no longer placing unrealistic expectations on others to fulfill you or solve your problems. Instead, you bring your own strength to the table, making you a more balanced and reliable partner, friend, or colleague. Self-reliance fosters mutual respect because it shows others that you're capable and dependable. The journey to self-reliance isn't always easy. It requires you to confront your fears, push through discomfort, and take risks. There will be times when you doubt yourself or wish you could take the easier path of leaning on others. But every step you take towards self-reliance builds your confidence and reinforces your belief in your own abilities. It's a process of growth that never truly ends because there's always more to learn and new challenges to face. Each challenge you overcome strengthens your foundation, making you more resilient and capable. Self-reliance also unlocks your potential. When you stop waiting for others to give you permission, resources, or direction, you realize just how much you're capable of achieving on your own. You begin to see that the limits you once believed in were self-imposed or based on the opinions of others. Self-reliance shatters those limits by showing you that you have everything you need within you to succeed. It's a mindset that transforms obstacles into opportunities and failures into stepping stones. Ultimately, self-reliance is about empowerment. It's about knowing that you have the strength, wisdom, and courage to handle whatever comes your way. It's about trusting yourself and taking control of your life with confidence and determination. That kind of strength is unshakable because it's built from within. It doesn't depend on external circumstances or the approval of others. It comes from your own belief in yourself. And once you've developed that kind of strength, nothing can take it away. There comes a point in life when you realize that seeking validation from others is not only exhausting, but it can also hold you back from fully embracing who you are and stepping into your full potential. The pursuit of external validation is often seen as a necessity in a world that thrives on social approval, likes, and recognition. Yet the truth is that this reliance on others for affirmation can limit your growth, independence, and sense of self-worth. Learning to free yourself from the need for external validation is one of the most liberating steps you can take in your personal development. When you live seeking the approval of others, you become tethered to their opinions. You base your sense of success, happiness, and even identity on how others perceive you. You modify your actions, thoughts, and even your beliefs in order to fit in or meet the expectations of others. The problem with this approach is that it creates a cycle of insecurity because no matter how much you seek approval, it is always fleeting. People's opinions shift, and their approval is never guaranteed, leaving you feeling uncertain and unfulfilled. The foundation of true freedom lies in releasing the need for external validation. When you no longer seek approval from others to feel good about yourself, you tap into a deeper, more consistent source of self-worth. Your value is no longer contingent on the approval or disapproval of those around you. This shift in mindset is empowering because it allows you to stop measuring your worth by others' standards and start measuring it by your own. You begin to see yourself as enough, just as you are, without needing to prove anything to anyone. Freeing yourself from external validation allows you to make decisions based on your own values, not on what will make you popular or liked. It encourages you to act authentically without fear of judgment. You no longer have to edit your thoughts or suppress your true desires to meet someone else's expectations. When you embrace your authentic self, you begin to build a life that reflects your true desires, rather than one built on the need to conform. This authenticity brings a sense of peace and fulfillment that cannot be found through the fleeting approval of others. The constant need for external validation is also an energy drain. You spend a significant amount of time and mental effort trying to align with others' opinions and desires. This leaves little room for you to truly focus on your own goals and ambitions. When you're constantly seeking to please others, you become disconnected from your own needs and aspirations. You're so focused on earning approval that you forget to ask yourself what you truly want out of life. By liberating yourself from the need for validation, you reclaim your energy and focus it on what matters to you, leading to a more productive and meaningful life. One of the most profound changes that come with freedom from external validation is the ability to handle criticism. People will always have something to say about you, whether it's positive or negative. When your self-worth is dependent on the opinions of others, criticism can feel like an attack on your very being. It can shake your confidence and leave you questioning your decisions. However, when you stop seeking approval, criticism loses its power over you. You learn to view it as feedback, not as a reflection of your worth. You can choose to listen, reflect, and use it to grow, but it no longer defines you or determines your value. Another benefit of releasing the need for external validation is that it allows you to build genuine relationships. When you are no longer dependent on others' opinions to feel validated, You become more authentic in your interactions. Your relationships are no longer based on the need for approval or superficial agreements. Instead, they are rooted in honesty, mutual respect, and true connection. You stop trying to please people for the sake of keeping the peace or fitting in, and instead you engage with others as your true self. This creates deeper and more meaningful connections because you are no longer pretending to be someone you're not. As you free yourself from external validation, you also free yourself from comparison. We live in a world where comparison is rampant, especially with the rise of social media, where people constantly showcase their successes, accomplishments, and highlights. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparing your life to others, measuring your worth against their achievements, and feeling inadequate. However, when you stop seeking validation, the need for comparison disappears. You begin to understand that everyone's journey is unique and there is no need to compete with others. Instead of feeling threatened by someone else's success, you learn to celebrate your own accomplishments and the progress you've made on your own terms. This freedom also leads to a stronger sense of independence. You are no longer dependent on others to feel good about yourself. This doesn't mean you don't appreciate the support or encouragement of others, but it means you have developed the internal strength to stand on your own, regardless of external circumstances. You become less influenced by the fleeting praise or criticism of others and more connected to your own values and beliefs. This independence gives you the confidence to pursue your goals and dreams without seeking permission or approval. Freedom from external validation doesn't happen overnight. It requires a shift in mindset, self-reflection, and a willingness to embrace discomfort. It's about letting go of the need to fit into a mold that was never meant for you. It's about releasing the grip of external influences and learning to trust in your own judgment, values, and abilities. It's about embracing your worth without needing anyone else's stamp of approval. Loneliness and solitude are often mistakenly viewed as the same thing, but they are profoundly different experiences. While both involve being alone, the emotional and psychological implications of each are vastly distinct. Loneliness is a state of emotional emptiness and yearning for connection, often accompanied by a sense of isolation. It stems from a lack of meaningful relationships or social interactions. Solitude, on the other hand, is the state of being alone by choice, and it can be a source of personal growth, reflection, and rejuvenation. Understanding the difference between these two concepts is essential, as it can lead to a more fulfilling and peaceful life. Loneliness is often associated with negative feelings, such as sadness, emptiness, and a deep longing for connection with others. It arises when a person feels disconnected from the world around them, or when their social needs are unmet. This feeling of isolation can be triggered by various factors, such as the loss of a loved one, a breakup, moving to a new place, or even the inability to find like-minded individuals with whom to connect. People who experience loneliness may feel a lack of purpose, a sense of invisibility, or that they don't belong. It can lead to feelings of hopelessness and despair, as if no one truly understands them or cares about their well-being. The effects of loneliness on mental and physical health are significant. Studies have shown that prolonged loneliness can contribute to depression, anxiety, and stress. It can also negatively impact physical health, leading to issues such as high blood pressure, sleep disturbances, and weakened immune function. The emotional toll of loneliness can feel overwhelming at times, and it often reinforces negative thought patterns about oneself, leading to a cycle that is difficult to break. Loneliness does not always have to be seen as a permanent state. It is important to recognize that loneliness is a temporary feeling, one that can be addressed by building connections with others or by finding new ways to nurture relationships. It may also be an opportunity to engage in self-reflection and personal growth, where a person can learn to understand their own needs and desires more deeply. But when loneliness becomes chronic, it can be harmful, and it often requires intervention or support to address the underlying causes. In contrast, solitude is a voluntary and often positive experience. It is the act of choosing to be alone, not out of necessity or yearning for connection, but because one seeks peace, space, and time to focus on themselves. Solitude provides the opportunity to disconnect from the distractions and demands of the outside world. It can be a time for personal reflection, creative expression, and self-discovery. Those who embrace solitude do so with a sense of empowerment, recognizing the value of being alone with their thoughts, feelings, and ambitions. Solitude allows individuals to recharge and reconnect with their inner selves. It provides the mental space needed for deep thinking, problem solving, and planning. In solitude, people often find clarity that can't be achieved in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. The solitude experience is different for each person. Some may use it as a time to meditate. Others may write or engage in artistic pursuits, while some simply enjoy the peace that comes from being alone with their thoughts. It is in this quiet space that many individuals discover their true desires, gain new perspectives, and develop their own unique strengths. There are numerous benefits to embracing solitude. It enhances self-awareness, allowing individuals to better understand their thoughts, emotions, and actions. It fosters independence, as it enables individuals to rely on their own abilities rather than constantly seeking the support or approval of others. Solitude encourages personal growth and creativity, as it provides the freedom to explore new ideas without outside influences. Additionally, spending time alone can improve decision-making, as it allows individuals to think through their choices and actions with greater clarity and intention. Solitude is not always an easy state to maintain, particularly in a world that values constant connectivity and social interaction. Many people fear being alone, viewing it as a sign of failure or inadequacy. This fear often stems from societal expectations that individuals should always be surrounded by friends, family, or romantic partners. In contrast, solitude offers a break from this external pressure. It is a time when individuals can break free from the demands of others and focus solely on themselves. The key difference between loneliness and solitude lies in the emotional response to being alone. Loneliness arises from a feeling of being abandoned or unimportant, while solitude comes from a place of inner peace and acceptance. Loneliness is something that people seek to escape from, as it creates a sense of desperation and need for connection. Solitude, however, is something that people often seek out voluntarily, as it offers a sense of freedom and personal empowerment. Embracing solitude does not mean that a person must avoid relationships or social interactions. It is not about isolating oneself from the world, rather, it is about finding balance. The ability to spend time alone is essential for personal well-being and growth. At the same time, it is important to maintain healthy relationships and social connections, as human interaction is a fundamental part of the human experience. Solitude and social connection are not mutually exclusive, but rather complement each other. A person who can comfortably embrace solitude will likely find that their relationships with others become deeper and more fulfilling because they are able to engage with others from a place of inner strength and self-awareness. In a world that constantly demands attention, multitasking, and external engagement, it can be challenging to find time for solitude. Yet, it is in these moments of being alone that we often find the most profound insights into ourselves. Solitude provides the space needed for true self-discovery, healing, and growth, while loneliness, though painful, can serve as a reminder of our need for meaningful connections. By understanding the difference between these two states, we can better navigate our emotional lives and learn to appreciate both the power of being alone and the value of connecting with others. There's a powerful truth that many people overlook in their quest for success, validation, and external approval: the truth that you are enough, just as you are. In a world that constantly pushes us to be more, do more, and achieve more, it can be easy to lose sight of this fundamental reality. We often seek outside sources, other people's opinions, societal standards, or material achievements to feel validated and to prove our worth. But the power of being enough lies in accepting who you are right now, with all your strengths, flaws, and everything in between. Being enough isn't about being perfect or flawless. In fact, perfection is an illusion that often hinders growth. When you understand that you are enough, you embrace your imperfections, understanding that they are part of the journey and the beauty of being human. This is not about complacency or refusing to strive for growth or self-improvement. It's about recognizing that no matter where you are in life, you are worthy of respect, love, and success. You don't need to become someone else to be deserving of happiness and fulfillment. Your value is inherent, not conditional upon external achievements. The belief that you are enough frees you from the constant pressure of comparison. Society often measures success by external markers: how much money you make, the career you hold, or the number of likes or followers you accumulate. These are all fleeting metrics that do not define your true worth. When you buy into this mindset, you'll always find yourself chasing something, always seeking approval from others. But when you truly understand that you are enough, you stop comparing your journey to that of others. You no longer need to seek approval or validation, because you already know who you are and what you're capable of. This inner conviction allows you to act with confidence, which in turn influences the way others perceive and interact with you. Confidence doesn't come from being perfect or having everything figured out. It comes from knowing that you are enough, regardless of external circumstances. When you are comfortable in your own skin, when you own your story, and when you accept your imperfections, you radiate a strength that others can sense. You stop waiting for someone to tell you that you matter. You realize that you already do. The concept of being enough also means releasing the burden of needing to prove yourself to others. For so long, many people feel like they need to demonstrate their worth through their accomplishments, their looks, or their relationships. While it's natural to want to succeed and to strive for personal goals, it's equally important to remember that your worth isn't tied to your external accomplishments. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. The mere fact that you exist makes you worthy. And when you understand this, the pressure to constantly prove yourself disappears. The power of being enough allows you to set healthier boundaries in your life. When you know that you are enough, you no longer feel the need to overextend yourself in relationships, work, or personal commitments. You don't allow others to define your value, nor do you allow yourself to be overburdened by unrealistic expectations. You know when to say no, when to protect your time and energy, and when to prioritize your well-being. People who are confident in their worth are more likely to assert their needs and create healthy relationships, because they understand that they deserve respect and consideration. One of the greatest benefits of realizing that you are enough is the ability to embrace your own uniqueness. The world often tells us that we need to fit a certain mold, look a certain way, or follow a specific path to succeed. But the truth is, the world needs your individuality. Your experiences, your perspectives, and your talents make you one of a kind. You don't have to change who you are to fit in or to meet someone else's expectations. When you accept that you are enough, you start to appreciate your own value, not in comparison to others, but as a unique individual with something valuable to offer. You realize that the qualities that make you different are the very things that make you special. Living with the knowledge that you are enough also creates space for peace of mind. The constant striving and seeking validation from others can lead to stress, anxiety, and burnout. The pursuit of approval and success becomes exhausting when you base your self-worth on these external factors. But when you are enough, you can live authentically without the pressure to be anything other than yourself. You can enjoy the present moment, be content with where you are in your life, and still aspire for growth, knowing that you are worthy of success, love, and happiness no matter what. It's important to note that being enough doesn't mean you stop growing or stop challenging yourself. It's about finding peace in who you are at this moment, while still having the courage to grow and evolve. The journey of personal development is about learning to embrace yourself at every stage without feeling like you need to fix or improve who you are fundamentally. True self-growth comes from the acceptance that you are worthy right now and that you always have been. This allows you to pursue your goals and dreams from a place of strength, rather than from a place of insecurity or fear of failure.